Cheers, guys, and thank you for tuning in for a Thank Gork. It's Sunday. No beer today, bit of whiskey, as I've turned my taste back to the good golden amber liquid, the liquid of the gods. And I was just reminiscing through this classic White Dwarf issue 171, which I don't think we've actually covered before on the channel yet. So maybe someone out there would like to cover their first White Dwarf with me with issue 171. But in here is some Black Orcs, and I use this as the basis of the color schemes for my own Black Orc command, which is just behind me here at my shoulder there, which accompanies this video's thumbnail because it's part of the Call of the Crown challenge. And I really wanted to do something this year because so many years I found myself just out of time or not being able to even start it. So for David, cheers to you, mate. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry it's not about your empire. Your empire's over there. So that'll be for this coming Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Back to normal schedule. But for now, hope you guys enjoy this painting video. It's all about me painting a Black Orc. So get your paintbrushes out and whiskey if you got any. Cheers. Okay, welcome down to the paint table. And for Orktober, I thought it'd be nice to celebrate Gork and Mork with painting some of their finest warriors. That's the Black Orcs. And I've got this issue 171 of White Dwarf that has the command group covered in here. I don't know if they actually had another White Dwarf that had the regular warriors in it. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think maybe this is the only featurette they had him in heavy metal. One of my patrons, Cameron, I sort of mentioned that maybe I'll do a video on painting one of these guys, and he was kind of excited. So this one's for you, Cameron, mate. Okay, so I'm going to grab a few colours to put on my palette. We've got black, we've got dark green, and we've got moon yellow. Green glaze on here from Watercolours. Add some more vibrancy to your paints. And I'm going to use it for this purpose to actually tone down the green because it's going to be lighter than what I want it to, and the glaze will actually tone down that green base color so it's nice and dark and deep. Just grab some of that glaze and stick it in with this green and black mix, but the glaze is not the most essential thing. If you've got green ink or something, that's going to be just as useful. And hopefully this will be all in focus for you all. So that's the biggest problem when doing painting videos and tutorials and everything that I find. Most frustrating thing is you take all that footage and then you find that most of it's absolutely useless in the end. So hats off to my old mate, Johnny Watson, for carrying the flag and producing some wonderful Thank Mork It's Friday videos. And also including little painting videos in there. I think that's really nice for people to see how he approaches certain things. And I know he sort of glazed me a lot in the last video. He shouldn't really have to do that, but thanks, mate. Talking about wet blending and that kind of thing, which I do. It's just in my style. It's not absolutely necessary, but yeah, I like doing a little wet blending and that kind of thing. But for the purpose of this flesh tone, we're going to make sure that it's pretty much dry before we get to the next step. Okay, so it's almost dry, so I'm just going to get some of that dark angel or dark green. It's supposed to be dark angel green. I don't think they can call it that. I think we're ready to roll with that, so I might just add some of that yellow in here and start to just throw in some highlights. I've got my green here, so I can always go back and make some corrections. I've got my glaze here as well, and I'm going to use that just to deepen and darken the skin color a bit. And it works well for blending and that kind of thing as well. So shout out to Watercolours and their excellent glaze range. Okay, but basically, yeah, sort of just taking that light mix of the yellow and green, and sort of just sketching it onto the areas where you want to highlight parts like his fingers and that kind of thing. And you've always got your mixes here, so you can always go back and dip back in. And that's what I like about this style of painting, because if everything was dry, and it would be hard to go back and try to recreate those same hues that you sort of made and mixed together. Okay, so he's got a back on here, which is good. We've got lots of open spaces, flat areas that we can attack here. And painting videos have never been something that I've really enjoyed doing, guys, I've got to admit, because I've got my painting glasses on, then I've got my magnifying glasses over that, then I'm looking through a screen as I'm trying to paint this bloody thing. So I give I tip my hat off to anybody who can really do a good painting video. They're not my forte, to be honest. But I thought Johnny's given me some inspiration there with what he's doing, and sort of little hobby hacks or tips or stuff like that. I think that's a really good idea. So that way it doesn't take an enormous amount of time editing and creating these videos. Add some lines here to put in some highlights, and just use the glaze to glaze them down. And if you want to go darker, you can add some black to this glaze. Really dark black. And just go over that again to get a really nice dark skin tone on there, which does suit them, because when you've got all the bright colors of bone and red and all the check plate and everything on there and all your metallics, I think it does sort of work well as to contrast them. Really, they look really nice actually as a unit. Now that I've painted up my 5, I'm pretty happy with how they look. Maybe we can have a look at doing some horns, so let's do that. Okay, the most important ingredient for doing bone is this flesh wash. Now this is again Nostalgia Colors, part of their 94 range, and an absolute brilliant wash. It's one of my all-time favorites. I can't live without it. I'm almost at the bottom of this bottle, so I need to go and reorder. Probably get a couple more pots of this, because I'll use it a lot, especially through work. Shout out to TT Combat too, because they do some decent paints too. They do some really nice colors in this range, and if you want paints that have that kind of old 90s vibrancy and everything, I'd highly recommend TT Combat. I think they're a UK-based company. Troll Trader, I think, is their company name. But they do some good stuff, and we've got some good and trusted white. So basically, this tick ceramic will be the base, and we'll just dip a little bit of that flesh wash in here. So we're basically just going to just give this a base coat, and I'll come back when I finish doing that. I'm just going to base coat everything here, guys. It's going to be a bit boring to watch all of that. So that's what I'm going to do first. Do all the things that are bone and base coat everything. Give it a couple of coats and make sure everything's got a nice coverage on it. Okay, so the horns are done, and there's good enough coverage on them. So what we're going to do now is just get some of this pure flesh wash. It'll be quite watery. It's not like a gel type. It's very, very thin and very, very has a very high pigment to it. But I'm just going to put that around the base of these horns. Again, we've got that mix, and we sort of just blend in. As it's still wet. Because they have that really nice transition in the studio paint jobs of those two colors here. And then getting, whiter and whiter at the tips. So what I'll do, I'll add some white to that tech ceramic and start working on the other end of it. And then we'll just go with blending it through down here. Yeah, you could also start with a white base, completely white, and then work your way down in all the different transitions of colors. You can do that as well, easily. And I'm sure there's some really nice contrast paints out there that can make this process much easier on you. And I've got to say, I haven't really explored contrast paints a lot at all. And just getting a nice blend through there between the two. Taking some white. And of course, once that's dry, you can add some more white, a couple more white tips to it just to make it, just to accentuate it more. And the skull, he's only got one skull here. Usually they're covered in skulls, but I think that's mainly the bosses and stuff. But same thing here. Setting a bit of that flesh wash just gives that nice sort of yellowy brown glow, and the white can be used just to sharpen off. Areas like that. So I think I covered the bone pretty well so far. Let's go into something that's really challenging for people, and that's painting red over blacks. So we might do this shoulder pad in red. So the color I use to basically mask off darker colors before applying a lighter, less opaque color would be something like this, beige, something equivalent to that. There's like ice yellow, you've got sunshine yellow, Kempery sunshine yellow. So TT combat paint, I'm almost out of that. I need to get another pot of that, probably Vallejo equivalent. But these really have, and you can use ivory as well. You could use white, of course. There's nothing stopping you using white. But if I'm gonna do something like a really warm color, I tend to use something with a yellow in it. Yellow ochre or something like that would be perfect as well. But something that's got good opacity, that's going to cover black, no problem, and use that as a mask to put the red over the top of it. So for today, we're going to use our beige. But I'm going to use this just to get me a nice thinned out layer. Okay, now that that's done, I'm actually not going to use a red, which might surprise people. I'm going to use blood orange. I just really love these colors. It's got certain tone to it that I think just matches this era. And I can also use a red glaze to go over it with, which I'll probably do, I'd say. Armor plates all now based with the beige, but we'll give this a nice coat. A couple of thin layered coats, and then we'll come back to finish her off. Okay, so that blood orange is now applied. We've got some yellow here. Make sure I'm focused. But yeah, sort of just undercutting the plates. Again, it's a bit hard for me to see all this. And yeah, just follow the outline of the plates. And this horn here is going to be all in non-metallic metals, this one. Got some blood orange here. We can add some more there. So you're sort of just making a really nice, warm and rich red here with the yellow and that blood orange. And I can further sort of enhance that using a red glaze. There's another glaze I need to reorder. Just to embolden that red. So we'll use that in just a moment. I'll just let that dry, and then we'll glaze it. We'll just add some black lining around here and the little rivets and stuff like that, just to clean it up. Looks a bit better, sort of tidy that up and clean up here and there. I've got a bit of red glaze here, and I can just use that just very minimally, just like the green. It's pretty... it's got a lot of punch, so I'm just going to put that over the red part of the armor. Again, it's very, very thin, so it will just soak straight into the brush. So just using a very, very small amount. So you just need to put a tiny little amount on your palette when you're using this stuff too. And you can sort of just pick up and drag. And it's got such an intensity, those glazes, that if you really want that 90s punch of those colors, turn up to 11 vibrancy, then the glazes do that really well. The red. Now we'll go on to doing some non-metallic metals as sort of the last part of this tutorial. Okay, so as I stated earlier, I'm going to do everything in non-metallic metals. So I've got these 3 triad colors on TT Combat, which will work nice as sort of a neutral grey. Right, so let's start with, and I've got to do some checkers too, so don't let me forget that. Not that you can remind me, but I need to do some checkers too by the end. So I think the non-metallic metals is kind of not that really important for a lot of people because they like to paint metallics, which is totally understandable. It's so much easier. And when I do commissions, I only do non-metallic. I only do metallic metals. I'm sorry. I don't do non-metallic metals because it just takes too much time. And if you want the authentic look, well, you need to do it metallics, don't you? So if I was going to do this metallics, I would just do it in chainmail. And once dry, give it a black wash. And you can add some brown wash in there as well, because even the studio pictures have a bit of brown mixed in there to make the metals not so new and shiny. Okay, we're going to work pretty fast because I want this sort of wet as I go. Okay, so we'll put the base coat down, so it's like a nice dark grey. And then the second colour here, so I'm just going to push that into the base colour and start, again, just sort of sketching in some highlights. I want it sort of light here. And I'm going to make a mess because I can't sort of really see this properly. So I'm doing this kind of blind in a way. I hope you can understand that, guys. So again, sort of focusing on the shiny sharp end. And then add some contrast. I'm going to just make it light in here. Then back to a base color here. Sort of cut that back. Cut it back in. So you've got that nice transition there. So the darkness comes right to the edge of the blade, and that's going to be light. It gets light down here, and it's got a nice light rim across the back end of that curved spike at the back. Okay, so we sort of distinguishing all the shapes and curves of the blade and stuff like that. I'm just going to put one right down here. Again, I hope it's coming up okay, guys, on the camera. Many apologies if it doesn't, because I tried to do one the other day and it turned out bloody awful, so I had to scrap it all. Okay, and that's a real quick sort of, again, wet blending, doing non-metallic metals. Now the handle on this would be red as well as the armor in this case. But we want to do some checks. Now, usually the checks are around their arm braces, sometimes on their strapping, like the drummer's got checks on his strapping and stuff like that. But I think we might do it on the arm brace, which has got like it's got a curved surface to it. And I don't really think too much about doing all this stuff. I want to make the squares fairly big though, and I'll just use pure white, but I'll just chuck a square here. Okay, because I know the squares they put on them are quite large. They're not small. And that just makes it easier to paint too, actually. And sort of just eyeballing off. Okay, well, it's about that size in between. like so. And you sort of just follow it around and fill in the checks and try to just keep the checks as even as possible. And that's basically the golden rule. Now, obviously, because it's curved, it's going to sort of cut me off in sections. So you just got to, again, eyeball it off to know exactly where to sort of stop and where to finish, but just keeping it in sort of even pattern right across will get you there. So I think I might call this tutorial done, guys. I hope it's been of some use to anybody who's watched this and got this far. If it has, please give me a like on the video. Please comment to say what aspects about this little painting tutorial that you enjoyed. What did you get out of it? And if you did get anything out of it, that'd be really nice to hear your comments. But in closing, there should be a splatter natter tomorrow with my good friend George in the UK, one of my patrons. Really, really nice bloke. Had him on the podcast, and he's going to come on probably to talk all about orcs as well. He's an orc maniac like me. So I hope hope we both can see you there. I'll be probably painting some more black orcs during that live stream, actually. So we really look forward to seeing you there. Until next time, guys, until tomorrow at least, take care of yourselves and see you next time. Bye-bye.